Have you heard this phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, and immediately felt a little called out, like you were doing life in a wrong way because you did not pick one thing to specialize in? If you have ever felt that, same bro. I remember sitting with this exact same feeling while I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my master's degree. I was going back and forth, genuinely torn between different paths available. During that time, I distinctly remember one of my teachers advised me using this phrase. The meaning was simple: pick one thing, commit to it, and become an expert for your further professional career. For years, that advice sounded reasonable, but something about it always bothered me. Why did I have to choose one possibility over all the other existing possibilities? Why was being deeply skilled in one thing more valuable than being competent in many other things? And how come curiosity was feeling like a character flaw? I did not have an answer for years until I looked into the origin of this phrase. Hi, this is Afsana. Welcome to a new segment of Unlearning and Relearning with me, where every week I will try to go down a rabbit hole of learning so you don't have to. Let's get into it. So first, about the word jack. Jack isn't about a specific person. Around the 14th century, jack was used as a generic name for an ordinary working class guy. So jack of all trades literally meant an ordinary man who does everything. Or woman, but we know that she really talks about women. So here's where it gets interesting. The phrase doesn't actually originated in English. The earliest documented root is in Latin. In 1592, a playwright named Robert Greene wrote a pamphlet attacking a young writer in London. He called this writer, the English version of the word means Johnny do it all, or in our case, Jack do it all. So the origin of this phrase is essentially a man throwing shade at another man who dared to act, write, and produce all at once. And the man he was insulting was William Shakespeare, who went on to write more than 37 plays and reshape the modern English language as we know it. Jack of all trades, as an actual English phrase, shows up in 1612 in a prison memoir by a man named Geoffrey, who was using this phrase to describe a bankrupt city merchant who had tried many different things and failed. There was no mention of master of none in that documentation. So where does master of none come from? During the 18th century, a medical writer named Charles Lucas used this full phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, to critique the English druggists during that time, basically arguing over the fact that they were doing way too much instead of staying in their professional lane. And that is the first time the complete phrase, jack of all trades, master of none, appears in print in 1785. That's when the tone shifts to an insult. And the timing isn't a coincidence either. 18th century was the time of industrial revolution, a time period when the society was actively reorganizing itself around specialization. Factories needed workers who did one thing repeatedly and efficiently. So now the phrase reflects the economic values of that era as well. And now there is a modern version available on the internet which goes like jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one. There is not much reliable information that I have found on the internet regarding this new version. But like a lot of people, I like this reaffirming new version better. And honestly, the thing that stuck with me most from all this research isn't even about generalists versus specialists. It's about how many phrases we casually repeat every day in our life without ever asking the origin of it. It got me into thinking how much advice we follow because we have heard it 1,000 times from people who probably have heard it 1,000 times before that. The phrase got reshaped in 1592 to mock Shakespeare, reshaped again in 1785 to serve industrial economics, again in 2000s to feel motivational. And somewhere along the way, it became our received wisdom, something that people like to quote to close arguments rather than opening them. Being curious about its history did not just change the way I feel about being a generalist, it changed how I listen to advice in general. Here's what I want to leave you with. What's one piece of advice that you have heard your whole life that completely changed when you started digging deep into its origin? Drop it in the comment box below. I am very curious to know. Bye.